What's going on, guys? It's Charlie, and we're here for episode 3 of Kenobi, and I think this is one of the best episodes of the 6-issue series, by far, emotionally. You see Obi-Wan struggling with the past, realizing, okay, this is now my new present, and then seeing what's to become, the repercussions of everything from the Clone Wars, repercussions from Revenge of the Sith, and we really get to see Vader, I think, in one of his best prime moments. Like, I know in Rogue One you see him take those rebels apart, on Tantive 4, but this, you start in the episode and he's meditating, he's talking to Qui-Gon, and he's remembering the past, and he's trying to reconnect himself to the Force. It could be that he cut himself off from the Force for all of the duration of 10 years, or just recently. We really don't know. Doesn't really matter. But he's talking to Leia, and she's asking him, how does that work? How does the Force work? And he asks her, well, how do you feel when you're afraid of the dark when you turn on the light? And she says, well, I feel safe. And he's like, well, it feels like that. Almost like what he's telling Luke in episode 4. It surrounds us, it penetrates us, it gives us the sense. He's in his meditative state at the same time, right before it cuts to Darth Vader, and you hear him say, he's coming, Master. And then you see Darth Vader just getting prepped. His arms, his legs, and his suit, the prongs going into his body. Remember, Darth Vader's suit is to keep him in a rageful state. It's to keep him tapped into the dark side. That's why Palpatine made his suit the way it is. And if you look at his lenses, the red lenses are the same. Well, it's like it's a mirror. It's a homage to episode 4 of the original red lenses. And we have James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader, is back. And I know with this episode, Hayden Christensen worked with a Darth Vader motionist. I don't know the right word for it, but, to really walk as Vader would, like to really provoke that. Because it is Hayden Christensen in the suit. And so he's talking to Reva, and he's on the hunt for him. He's asking, where's Kenobi? And he tells her, if you do this, the position of Grand Inquisitor is yours. So we cut back to the mining planet of Mapuzo, and Obi-Wan's telling Leia that, there used to be houses, there used to be farms, and now it's just a barren wasteland. Another indication of what the Empire had become, showing the lies that they were giving the people. Because, right after that, Leia says, well, I thought the Empire was supposed to be helping us. But you see what they've done to that planet. And then off in the distance, you see a hooded figure. Turns out to be Anakin haunting Obi-Wan. And he's being haunted by the past, like he's on the run. They meet a trucker, Rick, which is voiced by Zach Braff. And, he's asking where they're going, and they're coming up with fake names. And he's like, well, get on in. I'll take you to the nearest port. It's always good to see like-minded folks. And he's, real pro-Empire. And so Obi-Wan's like, okay, I don't know about this. So they get in, and they pick up some stray stormtroopers that were left behind. So they're talking, and then they're like trying to figure out, why are they on this field? Obi-Wan calls her Leia. It was really good for him to be like, when I look at her, it reminds me of her mother. And he goes, I forget, how much time has passed, which is true. But, when he slipped up and the stormtrooper's like, you called her Leia. And then Obi-Wan talks about his family, right? After they drop off the stormtroopers, whatever. Obi-Wan talks about his family. And he has glimpses of his mother's shawl, his father's hands, and a baby. And he talks about him potentially having a brother, which is a nod to the original Return of the Jedi script. And in some of the novelizations, if you find the older novelizations, I think from like the 70s, 80s-ish, they still reference to his brother, who is Owen Lars. So in the original scripts of Return of the Jedi, Owen Lars is a Kenobi, instead of being retconned in Attack of the Clones to being Anakin's stepbrother, which I thought was cool. And so, he's telling her how he became, they're taken from their families, and he's given a new family. Because Leia, when he was talking to her about her mother, she realizes he knew her. And she was like, are you my real father? And I was like, oh, that hurts. I was like, that really hurts.
Emotional, damn.
He was like, I wish I was. Like, how would you tell someone, yeah, your father is Darth Vader? When he's talking about his visions of his mother, it also is a throwback to Return of the Jedi, when Luke's asked Leia, what do you know about your mother? She goes, just, small memories, nothing much. They're traveling along, and then they get, stopped by these, at this transport station, and then Rick turns them in. He's like, I got a couple of strays I think you should check out. And they're like, yeah, thanks, Rick. And then, they bring the probe droid, and Obi-Wan's there. Of course, take out the probe droid from the eye, and then the Empire's just kind of like on him, and they're like fighting. And of course, Obi-Wan's fighting with his, with his blaster. If you remember episode 3, he said that was so uncivilized, and he prefers a lightsaber, but he's also in hiding. So I thought it was really cool to see that dual balance of like, oh, I don't like blasters, but I'll use them, And then we meet Vera, and so she's an undercover spy, and she helps them get out. And well, she takes them to a safe spot where they're gonna go through. And Obi-Wan's looking through the little room there, and there's markings of the old Jedi symbols. In Arabic, there's all these different names. And then you see a nice little Easter egg of Jedi Master Quinlan Vos, who also became a Sith. So that's impressive. But he was also kind of the same Jedi as Qui-Gon. Kind of rebellious, kind of like on my own thing. But, I'll follow the Jedi, but there's certain rules I really don't like. And one of the quotes that he says is, only when the eyes are closed can you truly see. And right before that, they were talking about the path, which is kind of the path to the Resistance. When the Empire came, they needed something to, rise to. They were like, wait, this is not what we wanted when we lost the Clone Wars. This is not anything close to what we need. And so, the path is, my theory is what led to the rebellion. And so Quinlan Voss's quote, only when the eyes are closed can you truly see, is a really good reference to like Luke closing his eyes when he's about to blow up the Death Star. Kanan Jarrus in Rebels when he loses his eyesight, in that small arc, he's really like, dang, I lost my eyesight. Like he was really down and out, but then realizes I don't need my sight to see, and relies heavily on the Force. And then right at his death, he gets his eyes back. I mean, it's really good. It's a really good series in all. You should really check it out. They end up going into the tunnel, and then Vader arrives. Oh, man. Okay, so this is the best part of the entire episode. Vader arrives in the town, and he's just walking through, and he's dominating on everybody. He's walking through, people are hiding, they're like, oh shit, Vader's here, oh shit. And then he's just like, force grab. And this kid comes out, and he just snaps his neck. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, Vader is ruthless here. He's in his prime. And he's on the hunt. This is the first time he's seen Kenobi since, he cut his arms off because he had the high ground. And he's just baiting him. He doesn't even say a word. I was expecting him to be like, Kenobi, come out here, something. But, I mean, he doesn't say a thing. And so I was like, that's even more ominous to know, that used to be my best friend. And then he's just like, yeah, what's up? I'm the big man on campus now. And he's just force choking his way in. So then Kenobi tells Vera to take Leia and get them safe, so he goes and distracts him. And so then, the camera cuts, and you see him staring in the distance, and then the red lightsaber just ignites. Oh, man, is that awesome. Like, just hearing the lightsaber, and then Obi-Wan asks him, what happened? Like, how are you alive, and this and that? And when Darth Vader tells him, I am what you made me, you hear Hayden Christensen's voice and James Earl Jones as one being. Because remember, Vader and Anakin are technically two different people, almost like a double identity. But in that moment, they were one. And so it was just like Rebels when Ahsoka broke off his mask and you see like half of his face. And he realizes Ahsoka. And like you hear his voice. Really cool Easter egg for that. But so they start fighting, right? Obi-Wan, his stance is not as perfected as he used to have. Remember when he would put his arms out, or he had the Qui-Gon stance. He hasn't fought in so long, so to relearn or to rehab those skills in an instant is difficult. And Vader's just there, just beating him with one arm. Just with his lightsaber, just one-handed. And then, Obi-Wan's, they're playing a little hide and seek, which is real cool. And, he's real taunting him. And he's like, Obi-Wan, like, this is what you've made me become. This is, you cannot run away from the Empire. And then he catches Obi-Wan, he grabs him in the air. And I was like, oh, man, he's going to force choke him. but then he takes out these like mining crystals and just like sticks his lightsaber and lights it on fire. And what does he do? He throws Obi-Wan in the fire. He starts dragging him through the fire so he can feel the same pain he felt. And you just see the fire reflecting in Vader's eyes. And like, it is just so ominous. Like, you know, that was his brother. That's what, you know, Anakin dealt with, you know, at Mustafar. And he's like, oh yeah, you want to burn me? Okay, cool. I'm gonna burn you too. And so Vera tells Leia, you know, go run off, you know, you'll make it at the end. And then she comes and saves Obi-Wan. So she shoots a couple stormtroopers at the end, and, you know, she helps him get away, but, you know, he's so hurt and this and that. And then Reva catches Leia at the end, and then it's just like, you know, of course, cliffhanger galore. And so this episode just had so much going on. There was just, wow, man. Like, to see that fight again between Obi-Wan, like, I hope we have another duel. That's definitely not going to be the biggest duel that we get. But we are expecting a little bit more cameos and this and that. But this episode just, it was, I'm just, but yeah, man. Let's see what else episode. We still have 3 more episodes. Deborah Chow recently just came out and said that there's going to be a couple more cameos. I mean, it's not Star Wars without the Easter eggs. So she's saying, you know, expect a little bit more cameos as the series progresses. I do think we're going to get Cal Kestis with the announcement of a new game, plus him being canonized, and seeing the Inquisitors and the Inquisitorus lair. You know, the lair from the video game. You know, why would you tease it and not really do anything with it? Not really tease Cal Kestis. I wonder if he shows up in the show, that would be even better. I mean, sales for the game would skyrocket. Downloads for the, you know, for the previous game, Fallen Order, would continue, and that would just fuel the hype for the game coming out. And I think it comes out in 2023. But yeah, guys. So you know, leave your comments, leave your thoughts. Let's get into this again, and you know, we'll see you in episode 4.